He will bring the prince to manhood and help him to destroy evil.
Then what do you want of me?
The evil warrior has sent a team of assassins led by Ninja Temple to kill the prince. You must stop them.
Hello, once again, from the morning walk. This is absolutely not for the meek. And this Sunday, no, what the hell am I saying? It's Thursday morning, getting close to the end of the month. And oh boy, trying to get back into it, these workouts, get back in awesome physical conditioning. Seems like years away again. Doing the dieting, doing the exercises, man, it's painful. It's painful when you're on your way back in. So, speaking of that, there is the buffoonery that is Canada. Canada is a real piece of work. The socialist state. You know, I got relatives up there. You know, I used to think they had common sense. You know, quite successful people, but man, listen, they ain't the brightest. I remember one time my doctor cousin told me how, oh, Vladimir Putin, he's not a good guy. He kills gays. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, he throws them off the roof. Like he's actually throwing people off the roof. No. He's not doing anything to these people. But I've never heard of anything. I know he said he didn't want bestiality. And these guys is like, well, we love our dogs. We want to make love to them. I mean, he's passing down laws that are just and correct in his country. So why would you try to go against that? So I just never saw any sense. They do what they want to do. But if he outlaws homosexuality and you want to be gay, then you gotta suffer the consequences. And if death is that consequence, then I guess you're going to death. You'll be put to death. You chose that. You broke the law. Just like murder here. You could be murdered. You could get killed for committing murder. So guess what? You just might get that. It's the law. You murder, you get murdered. You're raping animals, you get murdered. No, they don't get murdered. But maybe they did. Who knows? But same other. Back to Canada, you got Trudeau with a plane full of cocaine, says the Indian ambassador in an article. Trudeau's plane full of coca, and he's got some ties to some type of gang or something like that, doing business with. Maybe he's transporting their cocaine for them. And then also it's the thing with him bringing in a Nazi soldier, celebrating him and their parliament. Incompetent as all hell. So check that out.
For Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada to step down, resign in the wake of a few scandals that are unfolding. Of course, a Nazi brought before Parliament, applauded, giving standing ovations. Then the fall guy, the Speaker of the House of Commons, resigning yesterday, taking full responsibility for it, but we've been able to, I think, see through all of that charade. And then word that the Prime Minister's aircraft, cocaine found on board, reports of cocaine found on board. The Prime Minister's office denying it, but why was the plane grounded for 2 days in India? The Toronto Sun reporting this, among other sources on this. And moments ago, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau came out with what I think he would call an apology, but really seems like a half-hearted apology, throwing his Speaker of the House of Commons completely under the bus.
Canadians, in front of Jewish people here and around the world, and Ukrainians, to offer Parliament's unreserved apologies for what happened on Friday. The Speaker was solely responsible for the invitation and recognition of this man, and has wholly accepted that responsibility and stepped down.
So all of these calls for Justin Trudeau to step aside in the wake of these most recent scandals, will that happen? Let's ask David Craden from Craden's Right, and a writer at the Post Millennial, joins us from Canada, from Ottawa. David, good to see you.
Always good to be back, Clayton. Thank you.
So last night, also, we should mention there was an emergency cabinet meeting, I guess maybe around midnight last night. We don't know the full details of this. I know you're just getting word on this. I don't know if do you think it may have anything to do with either the cocaine story or the Nazi story in the House of in Parliament, or maybe totally unrelated to this?
I think it has everything to do with the cocaine story and the Nazi story. The story of this former Waffen-SS member coming to Parliament has just continues to explode around the world. And it's an embarrassment that Trudeau has deliberately sidestepped the last 2 days in question period, where the Prime Minister is supposed to be there front and center, representing the government, answering the questions of the opposition. He has skipped Monday and Tuesday, and he has put his House leader there up front, who is a pregnant woman, by the way, typical of Trudeau, to hide behind somebody else. So he puts a pregnant woman up there to take all of the abuse from the opposition, asking these questions about, where is Justin Trudeau? Why is he not responding to this? And she's reading her script, of course, about how, we're all very embarrassed about this, and it's really quite a horrible thing. And she is doing a horrible job, of course. But Justin Trudeau is finding any excuse not to come to the House of Commons. And yesterday, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre said, well, at least I show up for work. You can call me irresponsible if you want for bringing up these issues about how the Prime Minister obviously knew about this former Nazi coming to the House of Commons, coming to Parliament. But Justin Trudeau doesn't even show up for work. And I do believe that he is under intense pressure from his caucus and from his cabinet to resign, even though, unfortunately, Pierre Poilievre has not called for the Prime Minister to resign. Maybe he will today, but he has not in the House of Commons for the past 2 days. He has simply said the Prime Minister needs to apologize. And unfortunately, Poilievre has emphasized that apology far too much to Zelensky and Ukraine than he has to Canadians and Canadian vets. I've been very, very disappointed in how he has pushed this message, and I think entirely the wrong way. But yes, Justin Trudeau does need to apologize. He does need to come clean on this. And, well, I've been saying he should resign for a long time, not just for these issues, but because the country is in tatters.
He did release a video where he blamed what happened in Parliament by bringing a Nazi out there and getting a standing ovation. He blamed that on Russian propaganda. Let's play this soundbite and get you to respond.
Obviously, it's extremely upsetting that this happened. The speaker has acknowledged his mistake and has apologized. But this is something that is deeply embarrassing to the Parliament of Canada and, by extension, to all Canadians. I think particularly of Jewish MPs and all members of the Jewish community across the country who are commemorating Yom Kippur today. I think it's going to be really important that all of us push back against Russian propaganda, Russian disinformation, and continue our steadfast and unequivocal support for Ukraine, as we did last week with announcing further measures to stand with Ukraine in Russia's illegal war against it.
A fucking scam. So you wake up early in the morning to go to work to pay for a house that you're never at. And you pay for a car that primarily gets you from and to work, correct? The government takes anywhere from, let's say 30 to 50% of your wages. And then there's things like VAT, which is basically your money getting taxed that was already taxed. You save up your whole life for a pension, which at the end of the day, the government takes 40 to 50% of that. Then in your elder years, you're living off canned soup and fucking bread because that's all you can afford. And then you get your state pension, which you can't get until you're like 180 years old. And even with that, if you die before you get it, you can't even pass it down to your kids. The government takes it. We are all getting scammed so fucking bad. It's almost comical. People don't see this shit. How can you work 40 or 50 hours a week, especially nowadays, to pay for fucking nothing? So figure 200 hours a month, you give your life to a corporation, and then halfway through the month, you're struggling to get to payday. Sounds pretty fucking familiar, doesn't it? We're giving our lives away for nothing. It is a scam. We're losing more by going to work than staying our asses home. All a big scam.